What a day, everybody. It's Deb from The Place, and it is 6:30 in the morning. Was supposed to do a deck tech today. Got fudged during the recording. Totally screwed up during the recording process. Camera problems, don't want to talk about it. But in case you haven't seen the video we've already done on this topic, last time we talked about the overperformers in Duskmourn. And today, this video, we're going to talk about the underperformers in Duskmourn. I wonder which one's going to do better in terms of YouTube metrics. I guess we'll see. I'm interested in how that shakes out. But like I said, the deck tech got all screwed up today, but I still wanted to bring you guys some content I thought you'd be interested in. We've had like a little more than 2 days in Duskmourn Standard. Kind of suss some things out, play with some cards, play against some cards, see what works, see what doesn't. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what doesn't, or at least what hasn't for me necessarily, that I may have been a little bit excited about, or that maybe I've played against and was in no way frightened by whatsoever. And that's the case for the first card we'll talk about. It's Marvin, Murderous Mimic. This has convinced me in the first couple of days that it is a commander card through and through. I've seen a couple of people play with, more than a couple, honestly. I've seen like 4 different people play with this weird like Enigma Jewel, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Training Grounds like thing. I think there is an Infinite or something in Standard with Marvin. I think it has to deal with like 2 forensic researchers. You don't even know what that card does, right? You tap it to untap a guy, right? And then you have 2 of those in play, so they just untap each other while you have like a Deep Root Waters out or whatever it's called. Whenever a creature you control becomes tapped, you make a guy or something like that. So you continuously tap and untap those 2 forensic researchers while the Deep Root guy, the enchantment, keeps making you 1/1s. Marvin is basically just more copies of Forensic Researcher for that deck. So I think that's what they're doing. But every time I see Marvin on turn 2, 3, 4, whatever, I know that I don't really have to be scared. Opponents doing like kind of not very serious things. So far in Standard, at least, I know when someone plays a Marvin, I'm like, whew, okay, well, I can just kind of take it easy. So maybe somebody will find something cool to do with this card in Standard where I can actually be scared of it. But so far, it's been the exact opposite. I see a Marvin, and I just kind of lean back in my easy chair on the beach under an umbrella with a nice fruity drink, and I'm like, ooh, delicious. That's a good pina colada. Oh, Marvin's in play? Who cares? So, that's all I'm saying. Let's move. It's kind of my honorable mention for like the underperformers so far. I just haven't really seen much out of Marv, But my actual number 5 is Splitskin Doll. I have tried to play with this card a lot, and I still kind of believe in it in certain builds, but it just hasn't been great. And I honestly didn't expect it to be great, and it still performed less than those expectations. So 2 mana for a 2/1 toy. It's an artifact creature. When it enters, you draw a card, and you discard a card unless you have a dude with power 2 or less. Honestly, I've been exclusively, I guess that's the word now, putting this into decks where I kind of want to discard the card. Like Reanimator decks like Rite of the Moth and Lich Knight's Crusade builds and stuff like that, or Conquest, Lich Knight's Conquest, those builds. And the card has not been good most of the time. I played with a card called Rafine's Informant that just rotated out. It was in New Capenna. And it was a 2 mana 2/1. When it came into play, you connive. So you draw, you discard. And if you discard a land, nothing happens. If you discard a non-land, you put a +1/+1 counter on Rafine's Informant or something like that. I forget exactly. Once a card's out of Standard, my brain's just like, all right, I'll see you never again. I don't have to care about you. And it clears room for more cards. But that was a very similar card to Splitskin Doll. And I kind of liked it from time to time, but it never seemed like a particularly good Magic card. And Splitskin Doll hasn't necessarily yet either. There are times where this can just draw you a card when it ETBs. That's usually happening like turn 4. If you're playing a 2/1 on turn 4, you're not doing great most of the time, And sometimes you want to discard the card and it won't let you because you already have a small fry in play or like another Splitskin Doll's in play, and you're like, but I want to discard this guy so I can reanimate him later, but you're screwing that up for me, doll. So that happens too. I do think a Spirited Companion with, it's an artifact instead of an enchantment that's still a relevant type, is good. Like I said, I've played this in Lich Knight's Conquest, a couple of different builds, and it's been okay there. It's an artifact you can sack for conquest fodder, bargain fodder, and stuff like that. And it's not terrible, right? But it just never feels extremely like powerful at all when I play it. It doesn't feel like a great turn 2 play a lot of the times. It feels like there should be something I could be doing better than a Splitskin Doll. Like, again, 9 times out of 10. There are creatures like Piggy Bank, for instance, that I've played a lot of too already in Duskmourn that I'm really, really enjoying and I think have, a lot of different decks it can go in. And Splitskin Doll is the opposite of that. It's impressing me like less and less the more I try to play with it. So I can see where it has spots. It's been a decent role player a couple of times in different builds, but it's not necessarily the card that I wanted it to be yet. Not yet. I mean, we'll find something to do with it. But next at number 4, I guess, is Nashi, Searcher in Dark here. This is 2 mana for a 2/2 menace. It's a legendary rat ninja wizard. And when it deals combat damage to a player, you mill that many cards. You can put any number of legendary and or enchantment cards from among them into your hand. If you don't put any cards in your hand this way, Nashi gets a +1/+1 counter. I've played this in a couple of builds. I've played it in Rats. I've seen it played against me in Rats a bunch. It seems like Rats is a oddly popular build in the arena for the last like 2 weeks, honestly. But especially since Duskmourn came out, people just re-rolling them Rats, see what happens. But I'm seeing Nashi in there a lot. I've been seeing him in a sort of blue-black mid-range deck that has, the stuff you'd expect. Sometimes you see Schooner, but often you see like Deep Cavern Bat and Spyglass Siren and stuff. And Nashi's just another 2-drop that they're playing alongside like Kaito, And if they get him with Nashi because he has Menace, they can Kaito on turn 3. If they get him with Deep Cavern Bat, they can Kaito on turn 3. And like Kaito's been a good card in that deck, the one with Ninjutsu from Duskmourn. But Nashi just hasn't impressed me at all. Like I've seen him in Legends decks too, a bunch of different Legends decks that I've seen. And just like he's 2-mana 2/2. I guess he's got Menace, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times he doesn't even get the card advantage. He's easily killable. He just gets like cut down or shocked or towards the tower or bolted. Like I know that's a dies to removal argument, but there's a difference between like, oh, he dies to a couple of removal spells and he dies like every removal spell, which he does. So this is another one that I've played a few times, has not impressed me in the Legends builds that I've played it in, but hasn't impressed me when I see it in like Legends, Ninjas, Rats, whatever on the other side of the table either. So I had some idea that Nashi might be okay, but this card's just like not been great so far. But it's another one of those like Doll, right? And hopefully all of these are kind of like that. Like maybe one day it'll find its niche, like the thing it's supposed to go in. But I just don't see it yet, man. But next at number 3, I guess, is Inquisitive Glimmer. And to an extent, Gremlin Tamer, right? And in a way, I think Gremlin Tamer is probably should have gotten this slot instead. That's the 2-mana Enchantments Matter guy. Gives you a 1/1 whenever you Eerie. This is the 2-mana Enchantment Matters guy. He's a 2/3. And your enchantments cost 1 less. Your unlock cost 1 less, which I haven't really paid that much attention to. I have played some rooms. We'll get to that in a second. But mostly, I've been playing this in the blue-white enchantments deck for the cost reduction, and it just hasn't been like super great there. It kind of messes with your flash plan slightly. You want to play it on turn 2 as early as possible. It's gonna eat a cut down or like a bolt effect or like a go for the throat, whatever. It's probably gonna eat removal like 9 times out of 10 in my experience. That's usually fine. You expect that to happen. But where this really sucks in comparison to Jukai Naturalist is the loss of lifelink, man. It's like really terrible. You can't just like throw an ethereal armor on this and start going to town or something, You can give it lifelink with Sheltered by Ghost and like start kind of building from there. But it not having natural lifelink was like, it's a huge part of Jukai Naturalist. It's just not present here. Also, we don't have sort of the same suite of enchantments that made Jukai Naturalist so good. And a lot of times on turn 3 in the blue-white enchantments deck, you're just holding up for like, Entity Tracker anyway, which is the flash enchantress thing. So Inquisitive Glimmer is not really doing much for you the turn after you play it or the turn that you do play it. And it's just, the card's been kind of awkward for me in those builds. And I think that build wants to be a little more flashy, a little bit more instant speed controller oriented, kind of no more lies on turn 2, get set up with Entity Tracker on 3 and start going to town drawing cards and stuff. Maybe even, the blue Enduring card that lets you draw cards whenever like your creatures hit for combat damage, but it's an enchantment too. I just feel like that deck is really flashy and a little bit more slow rolly than the Selesnya enchantments deck was and currently is even. And this card just doesn't really fit the role the way it needs to. So I haven't been that impressed by this is all I'm trying to say. But we'll move on to the next card, I guess number 2 here, which is a room. And this is kind of meant to represent all of the rooms because I haven't had that much success playing like any of these yet. But the one on screen is Dollmaker Shop and Porcelain Gallery, which has been better than some that I've played. But this is about like the valley between expectations and reality. And my expectations were somewhat high for this card, and the reality has been much, much lower. Much lower. Dollmaker Shop is pretty okay. It's all right, but it doesn't give you the 1/1 every turn. It's often going to be worse than like a Bitter Blossom, Skrelv's Hive, something like that. Because you're just not guaranteed to attack. And sometimes even if you can attack, like, oh, okay, I get a 1/1. You know what I mean? So unless you're in a very dedicated kind of tokens or go wide build or something that's guaranteed to attack most turns, like I think this might be okay in green-white rabbits as like a weird like 1 or 2 of inclusion because you're mostly always going to be attacking with like Beauregard Mentor or Regal Bunnycorn or one of your larger creatures. That will guarantee that you get tokens. Those will make your Bunnycorns and Beauregard Mentors larger. And then once you've hopped to it a couple of times, you got a bunch of little 1/1 dorks in play. You have enough mana to Porcelain Gallery, finish the game, get through with a bunch of 10/10s or whatever it is. I think there are spots where this card could specifically be very, very good. I just haven't necessarily found them yet. I've seen people play a sort of black-white tokens deck with this and like funeral parlor, funeral room, whatever it's called. And that card also does not look very impressive so far. So again, just like rooms in general, I've tried like Painter's Gallery and Deface Studio or whatever it's called, or Painter's Studio, Deface Gallery. That's it. And I haven't really liked that one much either. One that I have seen do some work is the red-blue room, where it's like a removal spell, kind of a Fires of Victory, 2 mana on one side of it. The other side is a 5 mana, draw an extra card every turn you have no maximum hand size. That one's been okay, but for the most part, I haven't seen rooms do too much, and a lot of them have kind of disappointed me, right? So if you haven't had a chance to play with too many of these, I haven't seen too many in the wild either. I have not seen that many rooms played on the other side of the table just yet, but these seem like a lot of like decent value, and a lot of people were praising them after the streamer event, the early access thing. People are like, man, these are really, really good. I'm telling you, they're going to affect standard. And so far, I'm just not like sure, but we don't have any early results from MTGO leagues or tournaments yet. So we'll see how well these rooms fit into standard. But so far, I haven't had a lot of good spots to play them or unlock them for that matter. So I don't know. I'm interested in your experience in rooms in the comments section though. Let me know how you've been doing with these lately, or if you've seen them played against you and they were really good or whatever. But number 1-ish, I guess, is the Enduring Cycle. Enduring Innocence is on screen, and just like the rooms, the example card here is probably the one that's been the best, but again, there's sometimes a massive like crevasse, a fissure between expectation and reality. And I think that these will probably see some sparing play in standard in a build here or there, right? And Enduring Innocence has been the best of these so far that I've seen. It is especially good in that blue-white enchantments deck. But even in that deck, again, you're trying to be a little bit flashy here. This takes up 3 entire mana. So sure, you can flash in Entity Tracker on turn 3, play this on turn 4. You have 1 mana up, and there's not a whole lot you can do with that. You get Ethereal Armor, I guess, like one of your 2 guys, and that's all well and good. And this guy does wear an Ethereal Armor very well because of the lifelink. But it still takes a mountain of mana, and now all your counterspell shields are down in that deck. So, again, it's just awkward in the deck it wants to go in. But I guess the upside to a card like this is it doesn't just go in that one deck, right? Enduring Innocence I've seen pop up in everything from black-white tokens to the blue-white Enchantress decks to a sort of, Boros-y tokens kind of build. I've seen it in one Rabbits deck so far. So like everyone's trying this out in different stuff. I'd be surprised if I didn't end up seeing it eventually or from time to time in like the red-white tokens deck with like Caretaker's Talent, Urbra's Forge and stuff. This seems like it could be a halfway decent card there. Kind of a Takasi's Welcome on a body. So the card has been okay so far, but none of the Enduring cards that I've seen have been where they need to be in terms of like how good a lot of us thought they were in standard. I think that too, these cards are great in commander. And at some point, some deck will come along that makes them better in standard than they might currently be. And again, I might just be way off here. I might have had different experiences than everybody else. We might get to the first like tournament or league results of the season and suddenly like these are incredible cards. Who knows, right? But again, just in my very limited 20-hour or so experience in the first couple of days of Standard, these have been slightly lackluster, even the ones that have been really good. Like Enduring Innocence, I've seen the green one played a few times, and I've never really had to be scared of that one either. So, I don't know, man. I'm currently playing the red one in the red-black, like, Overlord's Conquest combo deck. That we're doing for Patreon. That's going to be the deck tech when we do get it out. Probably Saturday morning. Just wait for it. It's going to be good. That deck is mean. I like it. But even then, Enduring Courage is not like the best card in that deck. Not even close. It's a little awkward sometimes. It doesn't work the way you want it to with Lich Knight's Conquest. I'll explain that a little bit more once we get to the deck tech itself. But yeah, I'm playing one of these currently, and even I am like, whatever, you know. So I've tried playing the white one a bit again, and it has impressed me a bit. But it's just not like, again, as good as I thought it was going to be. I haven't really seen much action out of the black one yet. I haven't seen much from the green one, other than a few games. But you know, the red one I've played with, the blue one I've seen in the blue-white Enchantress builds, and it's kind of okay, right? But honestly, aside from like a niche here or there, the cards just have not been like super great. So we'll see. Maybe again, they've got a lot of time in Standard to form an interesting shell, and there might be one out there that I'm not aware of yet that is just gonna terrorize Standard. Who knows? But these are just kind of my takes from the early days of Standard. Let me know if any of this is controversial. If you've had entirely opposite experiences to me, I want to know about it in the comments section. Early days of Standard are the best time to like kind of put our heads together, share tech, share things we've seen out in the wild and stuff other people are doing or that we're doing, and just kind of like, you know, spread the love, spread the knowledge about the format so that more people will have it. But anyway, that's all I've got. Let me know what all of your sort of underperformers so far from this set are in the comments section. I'm interested in that just generally. If there's a card that you were really interested in and you crafted it and you used wild cards on it you weren't sure you wanted to use and like it has just let you down, I want to know about that down there too. I'm really interested in it. I'll read your comments. But anyway, that's basically all I got for this one. Just let me know how you felt about the whole kit and caboodle. And I will catch you cats later. Do the YouTube stuff on your way out. I forgot to tell you in the first video, the Overperformers. By the way, that's probably linked in the description if you're interested in that. And you spend your whole lunch break watching these videos. But anyway, do all the YouTube stuff. Like it. Hit the thing that's shaped like a thumb down there. It's shaped like this. You can sub to the sandwich. You can share it around so more people have all this knowledge. You can check out the Patreon. It's important. I didn't pitch that in the last video either. I probably should. I need it. Patreon's the only way I make money. So if you want to keep the channel alive, keep me making videos, maybe check out the Patreon link in the description. But anyway, that's all I got for this one. I'll catch you cats later. I'm Deb from the place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.